Gail Moriarty. Now, Gail is a frequent flyer with ArtWeek. She's been participating every year. That's 16 years. Gail is a custom jewelry maker located in the Picker Artist Building. When Gail isn't making jewelry, you can find her leading the way with the Nashua International Sculpture Symposium.
My name is Gail Moriarty, and I'm a custom jewelry designer. A lot of my designs, my personal designs, I sit at the bench and things flow. I don't usually plan things out. I had an idea. I may come in and say, I'm going to make flower earrings today. I may come in and say, I'm going to make, pearls or circles, but that's usually all that I've planned. And when I come in, it just happens. I don't usually design or draw things. If someone wants something specific, then I'm much more detailed and focused. I'm working on a necklace and pair of earrings for a woman. She wants the circle is 1.5 inch diameter, and she wants pearls and very specific. So then I'm much more focused on her designs versus mine. Mostly sterling silver jewelry, for the most part. Sometimes gold, copper, bronze. A lot of copper, bronze, and silver jewelry called tricolor is quite popular as well. But for the most part, it's sterling. A lot of people look on Etsy, look on Pinterest, some off of my website. She had gone to the storefront and gone to the website and found a necklace she liked. When we talked about it, I decided it was much too big for the person she wanted to give it to, so we're scaling it down. But it's all custom work, so it's whatever someone is looking for, I can do it to whatever specifications they're looking for. Working in a bunch of artists is really fun. More than anything else, it's really fun. At the end of the day, you have like-minded people that you are sharing space with. If you have a project you're stuck on, you can always go to someone and say, hey, what's your take on this? People to have coffee with, people to have lunch with, people to talk to when you're going through stresses like with not having a great amount of customers coming in like we've had this year. And it's like-minded people that we can really kind of work with and work together, and we're all really good friends, so that helps an awful lot too. COVID is affecting us dramatically. People have hunkered down and are not shopping like they usually do, so it's affected us quite a bit. It's quite scary. At the same time, like I said, we go through it together, so we stick together and we keep pushing each other forward, and hoping people will come back and check us out and start buying with us again. Because most of us do custom work, we are here. We're open. We would love you to come in. If you don't have a mask with you, we have them at the door. We have hand sanitizers. We're very careful. We have our masks on all the time, so we're as safe as you can be. And so we just want people to come check us out and come shop with us. The creative side of making jewelry, it's hard to describe. It's just there. I can't really describe how it happens. It just happens. I'll come in someday and I'll find a bunch of just pieces laying around, and I'll take it and melt it down and roll it out in the rolling mill and make something pretty out of something that was just a clump of metal earlier in the day. I have pieces sitting on my bench all the time, and they'll sit there for the longest time. I'll walk in one day, pick it up, and finish it. I don't know how it happens. It just happens. A lot of people are very detailed and creative and have to plan things out and plan out exactly what they're going to do every day. I don't. I just come in and it happens, which I think is kind of interesting. I don't know where it all comes from. I don't know where my ideas come from. They're just there. Lots of times I can look at someone and people will come into design jewelry with me, and I'll look at them and I'll say, okay, so you need to have this size or this weight jewelry or this color scheme for you, or you're more contemporary or you're more earthy. You can just tell by looking at someone what's going to fit usually. Lots of times if they are making jewelry for someone else, that they really don't know a lot about what they want. I know my sister loves butterflies. Can you make butterfly jewelry? So I'll say sure. So I'll make 5 or 6, sometimes 8, sometimes 10 butterflies, different styles of butterflies, earrings, necklaces, whatever. And they come in and they buy, people, so they come in and they say they want butterfly necklaces. I'll say, okay, butterfly necklaces, butterfly earrings, whatever your sister likes, I'll make them all. And I'll make a whole bunch of them. And then when they come in, they look at me and they're kind of like, oh my God, I have so much to choose from. And I say, yes, because your sister is very specific and something here is probably going to resonate that's her. And the rest of them just go out from my storefront to sell. But if I just make one, the person might feel they have to buy that one because I've made it for them. And it may not be the style of your sister. It may not be something that she's going to wear and it's going to sit in her jewelry box, and that's the last thing I want. So I want it worn. So if I make a whole bunch, you're going to find one that resonates with your sister. If not, I'll keep making them. I have customers that I have one customer that I made 8 pairs of hoop earrings before they were the final ones that she wears, but she wears them all the time. And that's exactly what I want, because the 7 pairs went out there for sale and she wears them all the time. So what I want is jewelry worn. And if someone gets my jewelry for a gift and it's not something that is not their style, it's not the right size, I want it back. I want to make it right. So I'll change it. I'll make it a different size. I'll make it longer. I'll make it shorter. We'll change the color. Sometimes it's silver and they want copper. Someone will bring back a handmade large hooped necklace, big thing, and lots of work, and they feel bad bringing it back. And I say, no, I want that. They want smaller hoops. They want a smaller necklace. Let's do what you want. But I want them to wear it. So at the end of the day, I want them to wear it. So whether it's a gift that someone's given you, whether it's a gift certificate, whether you've bought it yourself, whether you've come and look and you're not quite sure, I want you to ask questions. I want to make exactly what you want. If I don't have here exactly what you want, I want to make it. A lot of people want really lightweight jewelry, so my jewelry, for the most part, can be really big. And people say, oh my God, it's so heavy. And then they'll pick it up and say, it weighs nothing. Well, that's on purpose because heavy earrings are not comfortable. So I try to make things that really people want to wear all the time. I think the most difficult part is getting people to understand that handmade jewelry is very different than store-bought jewelry. The quality of the metal is much different. The quality of the workmanship is much different. The way it will last, the way it will wear is much different. It's much better quality. And with coming to someone like that's a custom jewelry designer like I am, you can come in here and I can make exactly the earrings you want. I had someone that brought me one of her earrings and she said, yeah, the other one went in the garbage disposal. And I said, no problem. It happens all the time. So I took it and I made her another pair exactly like, or another one exactly like the one that she lost. So she has her pair of earrings back. That's the one thing about coming to me is that if you lose it, if you misplace it, if you do put it in the garbage disposal, I can just recreate for you. How long does it take me to do a piece? It's kind of interesting. I can come in and sit down and have a piece done in an hour or two. I can come in and have a piece on my bench that could take me weeks or years sometimes because it's just not exactly what I want to say. Especially if it's a piece coming from the heart that I'm not quite sure where it's going yet. It has to wait until it's time and it's ready and somehow my mind works in it when I'm not thinking about it, and then I can pick it up and finish it that day. But for the most part, if I have a commission for someone, I can pretty much get it done pretty quickly. Really depends on the complexity of the piece, of course. My jewelry bench was made by Daryl Rohrabacher, who is a custom woodworker down the end. He made my bench a long time ago for me, so it's made to my specifications, my height. But I asked him to make my tanks roll in and out. That way people aren't tripping over my tanks. Favorite hammer. I absolutely have a favorite hammer. It's this one right here. I've had it for years. Somehow it just hits my hand just perfectly, and I love the domed edge on the one side and the flat on the other. So not just that it has a domed surface, but it also has domed edges, so I don't get any. It's my oldest and my absolute favorite, and it needs to be polished. Different hammers for the different textures and different metals you're working with. If you have a thicker metal, you need to use a heftier hammer that has more punch. If you're using a thinner, you have to have more of a detail, a softer. I made a pair of hummingbird necklaces for a friend of mine that I hand carved for her and her sister. First of all, hummingbirds are my logo and they're my inspiration, and I love hummingbirds, but she does too and her mom did. And they lost their mom, and so I made a pair of hummingbird necklaces for her and her mom, and I think that's my favorite. It's tenacity, it's drive, it's persistence. Hummingbirds, you look what a hummingbird goes through every single year to come back to the place where it lives, goes down south in the winter, fights its way back up here every summer, and how tiny that little bird is, and how they fight for their food, they fight other hummingbirds, they fight off other birds. They just go after what they want and they get it, and I think that's really important. I have a friend up in Conway who taught me my craft years ago, and she's my inspiration, and she's my driving force, and she is who I have always been inspired to be like. She's just an amazing jewelry designer. So yeah, I do have one. She's my superstar. Our jewelry is very similar. I don't know if that's what drove me to look at her to start my training versus anybody else, is that we both are earthy and nature themed. Both of us work with nature themed. Sometimes she'll make a piece and I'll laugh because I'll send her a picture of something that I made that's very similar. It was pretty cool, actually. I don't really follow other sources. I tend to go in the other direction. If everyone's wearing hoop earrings, I don't make hoop earrings that year, or those years that people are. If people are wearing, I just tend to go the opposite direction. I like to just do my own thing. I always very much like to do my own thing. I don't like to follow the crowd at all. I started playing music when I was 1.5 years old, when I was a kid. Piano was my first, and then as an adult, I learned violin. So obviously the arts have always been very important to me. Always in my life, if I wanted to make jewelry, I've always wanted to make jewelry. But then when my son got to be junior high-ish age, high school age, all of a sudden it was like, okay, I need to focus on what I want to do versus, when you're a mom and that's your highest priority in life. And then when your children start to do other things, you start to think maybe I should too. And so I found Laura, and she's been she started teaching me classes, and from there I just knew that was my thing. I took to it instantly. Metalsmithing I took to instantly, and it's been my driving force. It's what I like to do. It's where I like to be, is sitting in my bench working on with some metal. Yeah. If you love it and it's your passion, go for it. In life, it doesn't matter what it is. If you love it and it's your passion, go for it. You should never take no. What anyone ever tells you, you should never take anyone's opinion too seriously that you don't do what you want to do. It's great to listen to people and get advice, but if you really want to do something in life, you need to just do it. You need to find a way to do it. You need to do what drives you and makes you passionate. In anything, if the arts make you passionate, you need to find a way to make that happen. So I think the biggest thing to learn in the arts is that you price what you do for the price that works for you, and you stick with it. People like to come in and say to all of us, would you take this much? Would you take this much? How is this? You need to decide what works for you price-wise. You need to stick with it, because you are worth whatever you think you're worth. You are worth it, and you should just be proud of it. Be proud of your work. Be proud of what you charge for your work, because it's worth it. People, I notice a lot of people say, it costs this much. And you can kind of see them and you shouldn't, because it's worth that much. You should not feel bad charging for what you need to charge for your craft. There are a lot of expenses people don't realize in the arts. Lots of times I'll get a little tiny box that'll come, and it's from my supplier, and it'll be, $400 or $500 box, but it's a tiny little box. People don't realize that tiny little box is very expensive, and guess what? I needed to buy that to make your jewelry, so... and a lot of us have that same thing. We pay rent, we pay overhead, we pay heat, we pay electric, we pay internet just like everybody else. So we are a legitimate business just like everybody else. And so we need to charge, the fair price for our work, just like everybody else. Normal years, I do teach metal clay. This year has been quite challenging and quite different, so I do not teach at the moment. Hopefully that will change. Teach metal clay, which is sterling silver in a clay form, so you come in and don't need to know anything about the process at all. You just come in for a day, sit down with me, and at the end of the day you go home with a piece. Well, not at the end of the day, but at the end of the day you've made a piece that you've designed and created yourself, and then after you've gone, I fire it and finish it and polish it, and you pick it up later. Metal clay is this type of a product. And these are pieces that I'm carving, and they're not done yet, of course. They're just beginnings of carvings of work. A woman recently brought me a string of pearl earrings that were her grandmother's, and she wanted them broken apart for her sisters and nieces and 14 women. I get an idea of what she's looking for style-wise, and then I make a whole bunch of different earrings out of my pearls. Bring them to her, she looks at them, or she comes here, looks at them, and she decides what she likes. And then from then I work with her pearls. That way they all get what really works for them style-wise. If it's for the person themselves, I work with them. I've done a lot of jewelry and a lot of pearl jewelry, and I'll work with them to get the design that's theirs. Make the piece, and then the last thing I do is make sure it's fine with them before I take the pearls and incorporate them in. Everyone gets 2 of her grandmother's pearls, which is pretty, and they looked really pretty. So I've done it more than once, but 14 pairs, that was pretty.
Thank you for joining our virtual Art Week. City Arts Nashua appreciates the support of our sponsors and you, our viewers. Please continue to support our local artists and our musicians and theater groups. For more information on arts in Nashua, please visit cityartsnashua.org.